Right, guys, your first steroid cycle. Are you ready to take the jump? Now, in this video, I'm not going to try and do everything I can to put you off taking steroids, but I am going to run over some things to expect, some things to consider. I'm going to ask you questions along this webinar that I want you to really think about before you decide to potentially use. So, firstly, I took steroids when I was around 20, 21 years old. And these are the results I got in like my earlier stages. This isn't after my first cycle. This is after like a couple of cycles. And I did everything wrong. I started too early, no guidance, no health precautions. I was a complete idiot. I was just obsessed with bodybuilding and I wanted to do whatever it took to gain size. And yeah, jumped in, yeah, just way too early and just did the whole thing wrong. And I've learned a hell of a lot over the years. I've been taking steroids myself for the last 6-7 years now, and yeah, as I said, I've learned a lot, and I want you to learn from where I went wrong. And as I said, I want you to take some consideration into some of the questions that I'm about to ask you. Now, the first question I'm going to ask you is: can you achieve your physique naturally? If you can, then do not think about taking steroids. If it takes a year to get that physique that you want naturally, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, if you can achieve that physique, then don't even think about taking steroids. It's just not worth it. Stay patient, nail the fundamentals as I'm about to go into in a sec, and you will get there. I know in this day and age, everyone is taking steroids, and that's another reason for the video. So many young lads are just jumping on steroids too early, and there's just, I mean, especially if your physique is attainable naturally, there is just no need. So, a quick one on how they work. So, anabolic steroids, they just mimic the male sex hormones essentially. And what they do is they increase protein synthesis. So, when we go into the gym and we train, we break down muscle tissue. That muscle tissue then repairs, it grows bigger. We do it again, and obviously that muscle grows bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, all steroids do is they just increase the recovery that you have between sessions. So, they allow you to train harder, train more frequently, and obviously with that you grow more muscle. So they do not work unless you do. That's something that you must understand. You're not gonna inject steroids, take a load of tablets, inject a load of shit in your ass and just sit on the sofa and get massive. It is not how it works. I've seen guys think like that, and they just don't change. They look the exact same, but they just put their health, they compromise their health at the same time, and those people are absolute idiots. So please don't be one of those, and understand that you will need to put in a lot of work if you want to get results on steroids. Now, you must nail the fundamentals before jumping on. The fundamentals being your nutrition, your training, and your sleep. You must nail all of those things, because for the main reason is that you want your steroid cycle you want to absolutely maximize the results that you get off that steroid cycle, don't you? And if you haven't got these fundamentals nailed, if you don't know how to train, if you don't know how to perform exercises properly, if your execution isn't on point, most importantly, if your intensity is not on point, you simply will not get the results that you expect. Sleep as well is another one. Now, all of these things you must absolutely nail them. You must have them on point, and that takes time. It takes time to do that naturally. And my advice is as well, as it says down here, to complete a prep before using steroids, because going through a prep is the hardest. It's the hardest thing in bodybuilding, and it will test your adherence. And if you cannot adhere to a diet on a prep, then you have no business taking steroids. Can you adhere to a diet? Can you train properly? And are things like your sleep, your recovery, is that all on point? And that should be on point for years and years and years before you decide to jump on. So, what to expect from your first steroid cycle? Now, as I said, if you have not nailed the fundamentals with your training and your food, you're not going to get very much from it. You're going to get very, very little. It's not a case of just eat what you want, sit on the sofa and inject a load of steroids and you get massive. Like, you are completely deluded if you think that it's going to work that way. However, if you have nailed the fundamentals, then I'll be honest, you're going to see some rapid changes. You're going to feel like Superman. Your strength's going to rocket. Your composition, your whole body composition will change in a very positive way. You're going to gain muscle mass very fast. you're just going to see a physique dramatically change. It is going to grow. It's going to grow, overnight almost. So that is what to expect on steroids. But as I said, going back to the first point, if you haven't nailed the essentials, then you're not going to get much from it at all. Now, another thing I want you to consider, as I said, I'm going to be asking you various different questions along this webinar. And this video, one thing I want you to consider is no matter how big you get on a steroid cycle, you are always going to return to your natural size after that cycle if you discontinue the use. So if you get massive on a cycle and you come off and you do a PCT, you will lose that muscle. It might take 6 months, it might take up to a year, but that muscle will go. So unless you're prepared to take steroids for the rest of your life or for quite a few years, you're always going to return back to where you were when you started. Now you have two options really. As I said, you can continue using testosterone and using steroids, continue to do cycle after cycle, and that'll be going down the blast and cruise route where you would do a higher level of steroids, and then you would come down to a cruise dose, a TRT dose, where you would still be injecting testosterone. So you'd still be injecting throughout the whole process of blasting and cruising. But the other option you have is do a cycle, PCT, and come off. And like I said, if you do that, then you will lose that progress. So you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Is it worth doing that cycle, gaining all that muscle to just go back to your normal size anyway? So that is something that I really want you to consider. Next, a big one, the true cost of steroids. Now, the steroids themselves, the testosterone, the masteron that you get in that bottle, that's very cheap. Like you're going to be able to do a steroid cycle for, I don't know, your first cycle might cost you about 150 quid. But that isn't the true cost of steroids. That isn't the true cost of taking steroids safely, which you should be doing. Now, the true cost would involve getting regular blood work done and health subs too. Both of those things, health subs and blood work, are going to cost more than the steroids themselves. So you're looking at, for the steroid cycle, 150, 200 quid. The health subs, you're looking at easily £100 a month. So if you do a 12-week cycle, that's £300 right there. Easily, it will be a little bit more than that. And the blood work, that's about £150 a time. So you're gonna have to get that done at least twice. So you're looking at 600, 700, 800 pound at least minimal to take steroids in a safe manner for your first cycle. So again, something else to consider. Now, the side effects. Now, a safe use of steroids under guidance, you are actually unlikely to get many side effects. You are unlikely to do that. If you take steroids in the correct way, you see lots of bullshit online with guys saying all these side effects that they got and how harmful they are, which you have to take with a pinch of salt, because you got to ask these guys, like, how have they taken them safely? Have they done a safe dose? And the chances are 99.99% of them have not done it safely. They've done stupid dosages. They haven't taken the right health subs, and that has led them to run into lots of trouble. Now, if you take the safer approach, side effects are unlikely. You can't guarantee 100% that you're not going to get side effects. So I've listed a few of the side effects which you could which could incur. Hair thinning, I'll know all about that one. However, we are talking about the first use of steroids. Now, my hair didn't really thin until about four or 5 years after taking steroids. So I did a lot of cycles before my hair started thinning. So that's why I say that doing one cycle of steroids, like this video, is all about the first cycle. You're unlikely to experience that. Same with acne. You're unlikely to experience that if you do things properly. Libido issues, gynecomastia, depression, mood swings, they could all happen. It's not 100% guaranteed that you won't get these side effects, but as I said, it's unlikely you will. And I have listed some long-term side effects down the bottom, which again, this video isn't about long-term use of steroids. It's just about the first cycle. But yeah, heart enlargement. Your heart is a muscle. Your biceps are going to grow when you take steroids, and so is your heart. Fertility issues, liver toxicity. Steroids are very neurotoxic, so they do affect the brain, and cardiovascular disease as well. So just a couple of things I thought I'd add to the video just to put you off taking them. Now, this side effect is something that I do want you to seriously consider, because this is important. This is another thing that I want you to take away and have a good think about before you start using steroids. And that is, the moment you inject testosterone, you are completely shutting down your body's natural testosterone production. So you will always run the risk of that natural testosterone not coming back. And if it doesn't come back, you are going to be on testosterone replacement therapy for the rest of your life, which will not sit well with a lot of you. Now, again, that is very, very unlikely, but there's a chance. So you have to take all of these things into consideration. Now, there is a safer approach, as I've mentioned throughout this video, but steroids are not safe. There's a big difference between safer approach and safe. And I want you to understand that. One cycle of steroids using a safer approach will very likely leave you with no side effects. And 99.99% of you will be able to recover. Referring back to the previous slide about your natural testosterone coming back, you are very, very likely to recover. But as I said, there's a chance that you won't. However, will you do one cycle? That is another question that I want you to think about, because when you see your physique blow up, when you see that strength go through the roof, when you're lifting dumbbells that you've never lifted before and your physique's just changing every single day in the mirror, are you likely to do just one cycle? And if you're thinking to yourself, probably not, then you have to consider various different side effects that you could experience. So again, something else to consider there, guys. Now, these are some of the client results that I've got with I coach a lot of men who use steroids. We do take a safer approach. We use all the appropriate health subs. We get blood work done regularly. These are just some of the results from some of my guys. So we've got Luke here. This was his first steroid cycle, and this is the amount of muscle he gained. He gained a huge amount of size. We put about 15 kilos on him in this phase. And then we got Brett here as well. Brett had used steroids before jumping on board with me in an unsafe manner. Obviously, once he came on board with me, we did it all safely, all to the book. And the results with Brett were pretty mind blowing. So this is the kind of results that you can achieve using steroids. Now, as I said, I do coach lots of men who use steroids, and we do take a safer approach. If you are thinking about using steroids, if you are thinking about doing your first cycle, you must get guidance. Do not do it alone, because you are clueless. What you see online, as I've said, is a lot of it is absolute bullshit. It really is, and you cannot do it alone based on information that you gather online. So I would highly recommend getting a coach, getting guidance, and going through the cycle using a safer approach with all the health subs, getting your blood work on point, and with that, you're going to absolutely minimize those side effects as well as maximizing the results as well. I am offering a free discovery call to anyone watching this video, so I'll drop the link below for my Calendly. You're welcome to book in a call at any time. There is no obligation, absolutely zero obligation, to join my team on the call. The least you'll get from the call is you'll get some proper guidance from myself about the steps that you should take moving forward. You'll also get my advice on whether I do think you should do a cycle or not. So that call is available to you. You'll also get a roadmap moving forward of where I think you should take your physique in terms of cutting, bulking. I'll help you with your diet, your training, anything like that, all for free. So that call is available to you. Click the link below, book in, and I look forward to hearing from you.